breaking news this afternoon. Senator Richard Burr is stepping aside as the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. This comes as the FBI investigates Burr's stock trading and whether he used information from his job in the Senate to make decisions about his stocks. He's accused of selling off stocks just before the coronavirus pandemic hit. Burr previously said that he went off public reports to make those decisions. According to the LA Times, the North Carolina senator handed over his cell phone to the FBI as part of the investigation. We've been digging into the story all day, and more is to come on WFMY News 2 at 5 and 6. Welcome to your 4 to 5. I am Maddie Gardner. Eric Chilton and Tim Buckley are also joining us this afternoon from their homes. Fellas, you are matching. You are both wearing the royal blue WFMY News 2 polo. And if you would have let me know, I could have also worn mine, and then we would have been triplets. No, we are so glad that you are joining us, and you are joining us this afternoon. By the way, this is an interactive news show. We are live streaming right now on WFMY News 2's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Moments ago, Governor Roy Cooper announced a new tool on the State Department of Health's website that you can use. They are now listing places where you can get tested, and some of those locations are offering free testing. Governor Cooper says in order to move into phase 2, we have to continue to improve our testing. The sites include doctors' offices, local health clinics, hospitals, and pharmacies. He also says the state is working to help frontline workers with equipment.
We're also deploying more protective gear to arm our frontline workers. For example, our emergency management is sending personal protective equipment to every one of the 3,800 long-term care facilities that we have in our state.
The governor says the state is still monitoring how phase 1 is impacting cases and whether or not we need more hospital beds. Surrey County will test people who live there for free again on Monday. The county tested hundreds of people this week for COVID-19. You can get one of the tests starting at 11 o'clock in the morning until 6 p.m. They are first come, first serve, and they are free for anyone who is under or uninsured, but those free tests are limited. The test locations are Northern Regional Hospital in Mount Airy, Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital in Elkin, and Hugh Chatham Express Care in Dobson.
Well, Dr. Christopher Ohl with Wake Forest Baptist Health says that coronavirus cases across the Triad, they are going up. Now, keep in mind, more tests are being done, and then more tests means more cases are being found. Now, he says some of the reasons that the number is growing is because testing has now reached areas where people didn't have access before, such as workplaces or some economically challenged areas. He also busted some myths about the nose swab test that tells you if you currently have coronavirus. First, he says its accuracy. He says doctors have to complete full exams along with the test to see if you have the virus. Next, not all tests are the same. He said some are not as sensitive as others. And he said simply, all tests are not created equal. And coronavirus tests are not one and done. Just because your test comes back negative does not mean you haven't been exposed to the virus. You may have to be tested again. Now, he also mentioned quarantine. If you've been exposed to someone with the virus, even if you test negative, you still have to quarantine. He says, remember, it's not just about your health, but the public health as well. He also says the most important part of the pandemic is not testing itself, but what we do with the results. With all that in mind, he says it's too early to see if phase 1 is having an impact on the number of cases.
Are we ready for phase 2? The short answer is no, we're not.
State health officials continue to remind everybody to practice the 3 W's. Wash your hands, wait 6 feet apart from others, and wear face masks.
Now let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. The Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down the state's Safer at Home order. State lawmakers argued that the health secretary abused her power by extending the order to May 26th. The governor and lawmakers will now have to agree on any future plans about coronavirus. Gas prices are at their lowest level in 4 years. According to AAA, the average price per gallon is $1.85. Now, when the stay-at-home order was issued across the nation, the demand for gas dropped, and as a result, oil production was cut back. Gas prices are predicted to rise as those stay-at-home orders are lifted, but with the unemployment rate so high, the demand may not increase by much. And McDonald's is releasing safety protocols for dine-in when restaurants are allowed to reopen. Employees will wear masks and gloves, and some seats will be blocked off to create social distance. The children's play areas will remain closed, and there will be extra sanitizing and cleaning.
Well, the next time you visit your dentist, you could actually pay more. They say that's because some Triad dentists are paying extra for in-demand personal protection equipment. Now, this is all due, of course, to the pandemic. WFMY News 2's Aduria Chumba spoke to a local dentist who says the shortage could actually affect reopening plans.
Now, many dentists had to close down or perform only emergency procedures because of the coronavirus pandemic. But as steps towards reopening ramp up, the lack of personal protective equipment may force some of them to shut down again.
Figure at the most 2 weeks, unless some other things come in. Now, my son says he's got some supplies coming in, but he hasn't been given a ship date yet.
Dr. Luke Johnson's family and friends are helping him lock down masks, face shields, and gowns online so he and his staff can see patients when he reopens.
When we see patients and we've got to change gowns, disposable gowns, every patient, that means I need somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 24 disposable gowns per day.
A shortage in supply nationwide is making PPEs harder to come by. Dr. Johnson plans to reopen in the first week of June, but says without a reliable supply of PPEs, he may only stay open for just about 2 weeks.
As things come in between now and then, we will be inventorying every day and monitoring so we can see what we can do. And of course, if we start to run out of supplies, we'll start rescheduling people.
Some dentists have added an additional charge to offset the cost of the PPEs. Now, Dr. Johnson says while he hasn't done that yet, he is considering that not just to take care of the cost of the PPEs, but to also take care of the cost of now having to deep clean each room after every patient.
Adure, thank you. Well, Amazon recently announced that they'll produce face shields. The company is going to sell them on their website, and they expect to have hundreds of thousands ready over the next few weeks. Amazon wants to make sure that frontline workers get those products first, and then they'll give them out to their own employees. And a reminder that Harris Teeter is going to start coronavirus testing in Guilford County tomorrow. Over the next 2 weeks, on Friday, Saturday, and Monday, you can get a free test from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. The drive-through location is in High Point, the parking deck on West Commerce Avenue. You do have to make an appointment first. You can find those details on our website. ServPro is showing their appreciation for first responders by cleaning and disinfecting their cars. So tomorrow at Daystar Church in Greensboro, the company will clean out cars from noon until 4 p.m. First responders can get their vehicles sanitized all for free, and the first 50 workers will also get a free boxed lunch.
So nearly 3 million people applied for unemployment benefits, and that is just within the last week. These numbers are staggering. Around 36 million people have filed for unemployment in the last 2 months alone. According to the Labor Department, the number of first-time applications has been going down for the last 6 weeks. Most economists predict unemployment could reach 20% before starting to fall in the summer. Now, if you get Social Security benefits and you're still waiting on a stimulus check, you need to keep an eye on your mail between today and tomorrow. Social Security Administration says 8 million people in the nation are on Social Security and cannot work. The average monthly benefit for recipients is just over $500. And getting money to the recipients has really been quite a task, but the administration did publish a how-to on their website to help out. It answers questions directly for anyone on Social Security.
A new High Point University poll shows despite the coronavirus pandemic's impact, people feel financially stable compared to this time last year. 42% of people surveyed between April and May say their finances look better than this time last year. Last year, only 35% of people felt that way. 36% of North Carolinians also believe they'll be in an even better place this time next year. Well, it is time for our email bag. This is where we read your comments, questions, and concerns. We're talking the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, we get a lot of questions about unemployment, and we do our best to answer them for you. Today's question was on my Facebook page. It comes from Ro, who says she's not currently working. She was laid off because of coronavirus. She says she has the opportunity to start another job part-time, but isn't sure how it will affect her unemployment. Ro went on to say she reached out to unemployment, but again, it's hard to get in touch with someone, and she wanted to know if we could get an answer for her. Here's what we found, Ro. If you're receiving unemployment benefits and you pick up any kind of work, the first thing you need to do is report that work to the Department of Commerce. To answer her question directly, anytime you work hours, it does decrease the amount of money you earn through unemployment benefits. And the amount of benefits that will be impacted varies case by case. The Department of Commerce calculates your benefits using multiple factors, including number of hours and wages earned in the past 2 years.
All right, do you like being comfortable? Well, then this is a pretty good day for you. We have a lot of sunshine. We have temperatures in the 70s. Humidity is still not all that bad, so hey, I think it's a pretty great day of weather. Hopefully you do too. The wind is blowing around a little bit, so there's a bit of a warm breeze to go along with this. We're at 74 currently in Greensboro itself, and looking across the area, some spots are a little bit closer to 80 degrees. Burlington, you have joined the 80-degree club. In fact, you've created it, I suppose. I do want to call attention to one thing, though. Over in the mountains right now, on days like this, sometimes you get showers popping up in the high elevations. There are some downpours near the Boone, Blowing Rock areas. They could drift into Wilkes County and Allegheny County. Some of that wet weather you see in Blowing Rock on that camera could head your way. So this is mainly a foothills concern for this evening, but the rest of us should stay mainly dry. The good news heading into tonight, doesn't get cold. We're down in the upper 50s for lows, and for tomorrow we'll get a little warmer with sunshine and highs in the low 80s.
Welcome back. A lot of families are looking for something to do this weekend. We have some good news today. The Eden Drive-In is opening up tomorrow under some new safety guidelines. WFMY News 2's Grace Holland shows you what you can expect.
This is how folks who go to the drive-in will watch. They'll sit in their cars with their radios tuned to a station that will play the movie audio. That hasn't changed, but Tim Robertson says he plans on having more employees than normal at the drive-in to make sure that everyone social distances.
And I hate the idea of turning people away, but we pretty much know that that's going to happen.
Opening weekend at the Eden Drive-In. It's usually busy, but this time will mean cutting the audience size down to allow 6 feet between each car.
We have to do it responsible. We have to do it safe for us and for the customers.
The drive-in has been an Eden treasure for decades, but this year's reopening comes at a time when families are in need of activities.
Most people are really excited and looking forward to having something for the kids to do where they've been cooped up in the house and getting stir crazy.
Tim Robertson says the drive-in's playground will stay closed to comply with state's reopening guidelines, plus bathrooms will be closed periodically for cleanings, and the concession stand will operate differently too.
We're going to be taking orders at one door and letting them pick up orders at another door. We're not going to be able to use the patio, but that will be a kind of a waiting area for people when we're getting ready to call their food out.
It's a lot of change, but Robertson says it's all worth it.
This is going to be a learning curve for everybody at the drive-in with how we're having to do things, and just be conscientious of the person next to you.
Robertson's family also owns a theater and another drive-in, but both of those are closed right now. You can hear how important it is for his family to get the Eden Drive-In open for drivers coming up at 6.
Oh, I am sure that will be a hot spot this weekend, Eric. And since they're limiting the number of cars, people need to get there early so they can get their spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, and I'm sure you do too, the Brightleaf Drive-In in Mount Airy in our hometown, and it's a big deal. In fact, I literally had a friend of mine call me the other day. He said we should open up a drive-in movie theater because that would go over so well right now. And they're great. They're nostalgic, but they're really needed now. It's about the only way you could go out in public and watch a movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another resurgence in drive-ins after this. You know, even after the pandemic ends, it's a great way to load up the kids, get in the back of the car, pop the trunk, or sit on the tailgate and watch a movie. I love it.
It's so much fun.
All right, well, we are still chatting with you on WFMY News 2's Facebook page. Join our conversation. As always, use our hashtag 4 to 5, and we'll be right back.
You know, when people are stressed or anxious, they all deal with it in completely different ways. There's one art teacher in Winston-Salem that is using her craft, that would be art, of course, to help her students deal with the pandemic. It's pretty cool. Take a look.
Catherine, this is such a cool idea and such a cool project. How did the idea come around, and then what's happening with it now?
One of the things our county really promoted was trying to find ways to stay connected to your students and keep them engaged in learning. And one of the things I found was, how do you engage people that are going through such uncertain and unprecedented times? What do you do? How do you try to inspire a kid to want to, draw still lifes or do math when their complete life is torn apart? So one of the things I decided was, I need to put the teacher in me aside and really bring out the artist and the human in me to try to connect with my students on a personal level and hope that they connected back with me. All of us are experiencing this pandemic very differently. And so I wanted to see what it looked like through their eyes. And art is a universal language that's really great at capturing the visual experience of life in general. So I opened it up to kids and said, make anything, say anything as long as it's appropriate, but show me what this looks like to you.
When people say something good comes out of everything, I mean, this really probably got some people to do art that really came from their soul and not just from their hands.
Oh, absolutely. And that was the thing, some of my kids, they don't want to be told what to do right now. They just want to experience it. They want to live it. And this allowed them to do something they don't normally have time to.
Catherine, thank you so much for taking time out today. Keep up the good work. We love to hear from the students.
So Catherine wants this really to go global if it can. So if you need a link to that website, just look for this story. It'll be on WFMYnews2.com right after the show. And everybody can donate to this. She opened it up to her students, then eventually her friends, and then everybody else. So it's a pretty cool way to show expression.
Right, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they're creating art from their soul and their hearts, not just from their hands. Some of those images, Chilton, they really give a deeper look onto their emotions right now.
Yes, and I think in a lot of cases too, it is probably the easiest way to express yourself without having to communicate it to somebody else. Just let it out through art, and she's doing a great thing. I think everybody should check it out.
I love that. All right, thank you so much for that story. Hey, remember, we are live on Facebook right now, WFMY News 2's Facebook page. We're live on YouTube as well. Any form of social media will find you. Just use our hashtag 4 to 5. We're chatting with you during the break. Well, we want to honor all of the seniors that are missing graduations this year because of the pandemic. That's why we do our senior shout outs. So let's take a look at the awesome graduates we're featuring today. Matthew Kearns is a senior at Dalton McMichael High School. His family says he's an energetic person who loves soccer. He's signed to play for Shaw University in Raleigh next year. Sean Quaffer is a senior at Northern Guilford High School. He has a passion for music. He played trumpet and concert band, wind ensemble, and marching band. He's also the trumpet section leader for the marching band during his senior year. He was inducted into the Tri-M Music Honor Society and is attending GTCC in the fall. And James Hernandez is a senior at Union Grove Christian School. He's the vice president of student council, and he has his fingers crossed for an acceptance into NC State among the other schools he's already been accepted into. Oh, and he loves Chick-fil-A. We have that in common. If you want to share a senior shout out with us, find this form, a submission form on our website. You can submit the photos of your seniors, but please no professional photos. Share their name, their school, and a personal message with your shout out.
Trumpet section leader. That's awesome. I was the same thing in high school. So go trumpet, folks, and band geeks everywhere. Love it. Temperatures right now very warm today, everybody. Mid upper 70s, close to 80 degrees. This is a big change from where we were, and it's kind of showing us where we're going. As we go into the next couple of days, we're really going to start to feel more like summer rather than spring. So this warmth is sticking around and really growing as we go into your weekend. I want to talk a little bit about the radar, though. So there are a couple of showers popping up right now, mainly just in the mountains. They could affect the high elevations, especially in Wilkes County and Surrey County going into the next few hours between 5, 6, 7, and 8. The rest of us pretty much staying dry. Tomorrow is an A+, 10 out of 10, would recommend day. Lots of sun. We're in the low 80s for highs, but the weekend's hot. We're about 86 both Saturday and Sunday. That's your forecast.
Yeah, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Facebook friends. Tomorrow's Friday. Good afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Chilton and Tim Buckley, the Wonder Twins. I'm calling them this afternoon because they both have on their matching royal blue WFMY News 2 polos. You fellas look great. We are social distancing. They are still working from home, but we are connected with you on our Facebook page, WFMY News 2, and our YouTube channel. Join our conversation and use our hashtag 4 to 5. Now let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. Tyson Foods is lowering the cost of beef after plant closures caused a price increase. Sales to grocery stores, restaurants, and other customers will go down as much as 20 to 30%. Now, company officials say the reason for the price drop is to help families afford meat. Prices across the nation have gone up after restaurants were ordered to close down. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says the quick shutdown of plants did not give farmers and manufacturers a chance to shift their food deliveries to focus on grocery stores. They say the reason that store shelves may seem bare is not a supply issue, but a demand issue as more families eat home more often. IFB Solutions is now selling face masks to the public. The Winston-Salem facility is making cloth face masks, and you can buy them online. They come in packs of 50 for $150 with free shipping. Each sale helps people who are blind or visually impaired.
You know, with so many families being impacted by the coronavirus, whether it's a job layoff or the children are home from school, we need more government assistance to feed families now more than ever, really. CBS News' Elise Preston explains how families can get the help they need and also keep protecting their health.
This is Emanuela speaking. How may I help you?
It's been a busy 3 weeks for Emanuela Carter. She's taking calls on a new hotline that helps provide grocery deliveries to families in need during the coronavirus pandemic.
We tend to think that ordering your groceries online is just something that everyone can do, but we forget that, no, that's a privilege. And so we have to be thinking about those on the margins who may not have that access.
Roughly 40 million Americans rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, formerly known as food stamps. And according to the USDA, 14 states plus the District of Columbia allow people on assistance to order groceries online.
So they have to leave to go get their groceries from the grocery store, which is exposing them to COVID-19.
8 more states have been approved to roll out online grocery access, but that will not include Illinois. So Chicago pastor Derek Puckett teamed up with nearly a dozen other pastors to form the organization Chicago Delivers. In just a matter of days, the churches raised $300,000 to provide Instacart gift cards and help for those in need to place online orders.
We just want to make sure people are actually fed and they're able to get food.
In the first round of stimulus packages, Congress expanded access to SNAP for families affected by the coronavirus. But many are afraid to leave their homes to buy food.
There's a lot of tears often on the phone. When people share stories, or you can't help but feel like, wow.
Carter hopes the group will turn those cries into comfort for those in need. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Well, Eric, I'm glad to hear that people who receive those benefits are able to get grocery delivery now. You know, I think that's been a big positive for this entire pandemic, as we can limit the number of people who are in the grocery stores and really cut down on the spread. So I'm glad that this is in our state.
Yeah. And I feel like also with this that, it's unprecedented, right? So the help is going to have to be unprecedented. It has been, it will continue to be until we can get a grasp on this thing. I think all of us are just doing this until we can hope to see a vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in England, health officials have approved a coronavirus antibody test. Officials say the test showed positive developments. Now, you've heard of other antibody tests that are in the works before, but health officials in England say those tests weren't reliable enough. Antibody tests show researchers if someone had the virus previously. They do not show if someone currently has it. So if a test were available, one to tell you if you currently have COVID-19 or one to see if you have had it, like an antibody test, would you get one? I asked you on Facebook. Jimmy Shreve said, nope. Like a previous response noted, you may not be infected, but then you could be the next day. So why the false sense of security? If you had antibodies, you could still be a carrier. Cora Phillips, though, said absolutely. The more data we have, the sooner we can reopen. Danielle Millar said, absolutely, I believe I was exposed months ago. And David Dole says, sure, the issue is that even if your test comes back negative, it doesn't mean you can't get it. You could get it 10 to 15 minutes after the test was given. Yeah, and Eric, I was watching the press conference today with Dr. Christopher Ohl from Wake Forest Baptist Health. He talked about those antibody tests and how they could give someone a false sense of security. You know, the research is still out on whether or not if you have those antibodies, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't get COVID-19 again if you've already had it.
That's right. And I think, if the test is free, I would probably do it just to see. I mean, who knows? If you're a carrier, you would want to isolate yourself even from your own family. So I think I would do it.
Yeah, and state health officials, national health officials, they are saying testing is really a key element to understand how the virus spreads. So today, even Dr. Mandy Cohen in the press conference right before our show was saying we still want to see those testing numbers increase so we can determine, who has it and where it is in our state so we can start that reopening process. It's a big factor.
Yeah, it makes sense. Everybody's anxious.
All right, Tim, let's check in now with the forecast.
Tell you what, beautiful weather today. It's just starting to feel more like May. You might not realize the average high is 77 degrees. This is normal. What we've had has not been, so now the warm weather folks are getting their chance to enjoy the weather outside. Over the next couple of hours, we'll slowly cool off, only into the 60s overnight. Right around 60 degrees will be your low. Now, there are a couple of showers this afternoon, but they're mainly in the high elevations of the mountains and drifting into the foothills. So I don't think the Triad proper will get wet tonight, but if you do live in Wilkes or Surrey counties, or maybe Yadkin or even Stokes, you might watch a shower this afternoon and evening. As far as the rest of the forecast goes, tomorrow's a beauty. It's all sun. We're in the low 80s, but the weekend is toasty. I'm expecting mid-80s Saturday and Sunday with a little bit of humidity. All the while, there's a tropical system that'll be brewing off the coast. It will stay off the coast and thankfully not bringing us any impacts here. Coming up, we'll talk about next week in the 7-day.
WFMY News 2 is ready to upgrade our broadcast signal. And that means if you're on ATT Uverse, Spectrum, Dish, or DirecTV, this does not apply to you. But who does it apply to?
Applies to anyone who gets their signal over an antenna at their house.
Okay, this is Kevin Lipford. He is in our IT department, and he's going to help show and tell you how to rescan your TV antenna. But let's go down just the steps of what we need and what's going to happen.
All right, first thing you need to do is to actually get the remote for your TV.
Okay.
You can't use the other remotes. You have to get the remote directly for your TV. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go through the menu settings. You're going to find a channel menu. You're going to find an option in there. It's going to be labeled kind of auto scan or auto reprogram, and then that'll set your TV to scan for the new channels.
Okay, so now everybody's remote is not the same. So sometimes it could be a menu button, sometimes it could be a home button, sometimes it could be a setup button.
Sure.
Okay, so you want to look for those things. And again, because not all TVs are the same either, not just the remotes, we've got 3 examples for you. So let's walk you through each one.
All right, so the 3 TVs that we chose for this example is a Vizio, a Samsung, and a Sony. So the first thing I'm going to do is the Vizio TV. Vizio TV does have a menu button. So we're going to go to menu, we're going to go to channels, and we're going to go to find channels. Once I click that, very simple TV, it's going to go ahead and start rescanning for all the channels.
Gotcha. Okay, so the Samsung's probably going to operate much the same way. Once again, we get our first button, which is either menu or home or setup. Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do, open the menu on it. This one, you're going to scroll down till you see the channel setting right here. You're going to click on that. This one clearly states auto program. I'm going to click auto program. I'm going to hit start. Off it goes.
Okay, great. And the last one is a Sony.
So the Sony TV has a different button. It's a home button. So we're going to click home. We're going to go down to the settings. We're going to find most of them will say settings or channel. So you go to settings, preferences. In here, we're going to go again to the channel button. Get on channel, clearly states auto program. I'm going to click auto program. Allow, this one says 30 minutes. I doubt it's going to take 30 minutes. Hit OK. Off it goes. So now all 3 TVs are now scanning for the channels.
Okay, so again, 3 different examples for you. Here's what we want you to know. The dates. Beginning May 8th through the 15th, WFMY will be using an auxiliary antenna while upgrades are being made. And you may notice that there is a weaker signal. So what do you need to do? All right, we're going to show you on May the 15th, which is a Friday, you need to rescan your TV. On Friday, May the 15th, you need to rescan your TV so that it will recognize WFMY News 2.
Hi, let's get the mic check. So sorry about yesterday, guys. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They get a little hairy, but you know what? Here we are, new day.
So each month, Our State magazine comes out with a quiz, and it's about something pertaining to North Carolina, of course, our state. So I decided to pit Tanya Rivera against Tim Buckley today to see who knows more about our state's hiking trails. That's in the latest issue of Our State magazine. So each one got a question. If they got it wrong, and it's a multiple choice with 3 answers, if they got it wrong, the next one gets a chance to pick it up, and we alternated back and forth. Here's what happens when the Big Red met the storm.
Welcome everyone to our game show today. It is the first time that we've done this. The virtual audience is very excited. Yes, our contestants today, they're very excited. So here we go. Question number 1. The Goat Island Greenway and Extension follows the South Fork, Is it the Carolina Thread Trail, the Appalachian Trail, or the Foothills Trail? This first question goes to Tanya.
I'm going to guess the Carolina Trail.
Carolina Thread Trail, let's check it, is correct. Way to go, Tanya Rivera. Nice job. Let's get the virtual audience in on that. Big Red 1, Buckley 2. Okay, so this trolley took tourists from Wilmington to which beach? Is it Curie, Topsail, or Wrightsville?
I was going to say Carolina Beach, which is not a guess, so I will say Curie Beach because it's right next to her.
Curie Beach is wrong. It is right. It is. Yep. So now we have to go with Topsail or Wrightsville, and the question goes back to Tanya. Which one do you think, Tanya?
That's funny because I was going to guess Curry Beach, so I'll guess Topsail next.
Oh, and you both are wrong. It's Wrightsville Beach, and we check our scoreboard. It remains Big Red 1 and Storm 0. At more than 30 miles long, the Neuse River Greenway Trail is the longest greenway in North Carolina, and it runs from the Wake-Johnston County line to what dam on the Neuse River? Is it the Falls Lake Dam, Lake Gaston Dam, or Fontana Dam?
I don't know, but it sounds lovely,
It does.
and I'd like to go. I'm just going to guess Fontana.
Fontana is not correct. We default to Tim Buckley with 2 choices here. At least you can gain some respect here, Buckley. It's either Falls Lake or Lake
Yes,
Gaston.
I need some respect. I say Falls Lake.
Falls Lake is correct. Buckley increases his score.
Okay.
5-3, the Big Red has taken the entire competition. Nicely done, Tanya Rivera. You know your trails. Or was most of that guessing?
Or I guessed really well.
Here endeth the game show, but we can dance to cheesy game show music.
We had a blast. I'm thinking about doing this once a week, Maddie, and I will tell you, so we'll pick a different topic and different players, but I've already gotten an email. Luke Liddon wants to go against Sean Higgins with a sports off. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, this is the content people need, Chilton. This is what I like to see, and I love the player names. Big Red and the Storm. All right, Storm. I really had my money on you.
Storm.
No shade
Yeah.
to Big Red, Tanya Rivera, but she was nervous too that you were going to beat her.
Yeah. I'm not much of a storm. I'm like a category 1, I guess. I will say, I thought it was going to be much easier. Like, what's the trail that goes from the mountains to the sea? Oh, the mountains to sea trail. But this was hard, so high degree of difficulty.
Yeah, I think you both did a phenomenal job, much better than I would have been able to do. You are both avid trail hikers, state park seers. So, I think these were the 2 contestants to pit against each other for this one, Chilton.
All right, so related to this, I asked you on Facebook to name your favorite trail or park. I opened it up to that. Here's what you had to say. Don Gann says he stays close to home. He says Hanging Rock State Park. Yeah, we all know where that is. Irene Johnson says Triad Park, where the Field of Honor is located. That is beautiful there in the Colfax-Kernersville area. Bob Thornley said West House Trail off North Church Street. The West House was built between 1810 and 1820. I wasn't familiar with that one. And Patrick John Bradley simply says the Bicentennial Greenway. All very good choices. And I do know that, keep in mind, that quiz it's Our State Magazine. They don't make it easy. They're tough.
Yeah. If I had to pick, I'm going to have to say Pilot Mountain State Park. It's right next to the hometown of Mount Airy.
Yes.
It's a nice little hike. Pretty moderate, too. Tim, what about you?
There's so many good ones. I'd say locally, I think all the City of Greensboro trails are great, but I really like Piedmont Environmental Center in Jamestown. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's right by the Palladium. A lot of people don't know about it.
All right, well, let's get the viewers in on this one. Favorite trail, favorite state park? Let us know in the comment section. We are live streaming on WFMY News 2's Facebook page and Twitter right now. It's a good day and a good weekend to hike, Tim.
Yeah, it really is. I think tomorrow a great day to get outside, keep your distance. But honestly, just going outside does a lot for your mental health, your physical health right now. It's one of the only normal things you can do. So get outside. The weather will cooperate tomorrow. A lot of sun to go around. The humidity is not that bad either. It will be warmer. We'll start the morning on your Friday in the low 60s, warming up into the low 80s for tomorrow afternoon. So that's a pretty big crowd pleaser of a day if you ask me. The weekend, well, that might be a little warmer than you may like. I think both days, Saturday and Sunday, are going to top out right around 86 each afternoon, and the humidity will be creeping a little bit. So I think a little bit of mugginess to the air, at least for May standards. If this were July, it would not feel humid at all to us because we'd be used to it, but we're not really used to that yet. So I do think it's an air conditioner weekend for the house, but get outside, do what you'd like to do. We should have a pretty dry weekend as well. Just a low chance of a pop-up storm or two each day. That's for Saturday and Sunday. But the big changes, they start to come our way next week. Check it out. I've had to lower our temperatures by a great deal starting on Tuesday. We'll have a front that comes through Monday night. That'll bring us a good chance of thunderstorms and showers. But behind that, it's looking to be quite chilly again, especially as we go into that middle of the week. There's going to be a low pressure area just sitting and spinning over the East Coast. That means cloud cover, a lot of rain, and good chances for cool temperatures. So the heat not going to last that long.
Storm, thank you very much. Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, a burglar targets several Guilford County restaurants. It adds insult to injury since these businesses have been struggling because of the coronavirus. Hear from store owners who have to pay for repairs while also making ends meet. That's next on WFMY News 2 at 5.
Well, you don't want to miss this. It is a historic day for a town that I know well. On this day in 1889, Thomas Woodruff founded the North Carolina Granite Company in mine and Eric's hometown of Mount Airy. Now, the quarry has been in continuous operation ever since. It is now known as the North Carolina Granite Corporation and is the world's largest open-faced granite quarry. Its granite has been used to create several notable structures, including the Fort Knox Bullion Depository in Kentucky, the Wright Brothers Monument at Kitty Hawk, the Centennial Olympic Plaza in Atlanta, and the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. The quarry covers more than 200 acres and is estimated to have enough granite to continue extracting for 500 more years. The quarry is also why Mount Airy is called the Granite City. And Eric, why our high school mascot was the Granite Bear.
That's right. People always ask me that. What does that mean? Now you know that the leftovers from I guess grinding up and blasting all that granite, they don't go to waste either. I read this today that they actually use that to make road construction. So nothing really goes to waste there. And I also heard if you could peel back the land, that vein of granite they says goes all the way to Greensboro. Pretty crazy.
That is crazy. You know, I grew up right next to it. Sometimes when we were playing out in the backyard, we could hear the blasts from the quarry.
Yes.
It's crazy. Yeah, but
That's
also
part of growing up in Mount Airy, isn't it?
Right, and you mentioned it this morning in our morning meeting. You know, the quarry was what made Mount Airy famous before Andy Griffith and Mayberry.
Yeah, long before.
All right, well, Granite Squad, here we are, right here together on WFMY News 2. Thanks for watching the 4 to 5 today. After the break, My 2 Cents is coming up.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together. Strange wording. Hi there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hi, I'm feeling a little embarrassed because Tanya kicked my butt at trivia. 1, 2.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut.
Okay, all right. 1 second. 1 second. We're switching this. Hold on. Oh.
Were we on the wrong one?
I'm not sure. I think Brian and Jeff got different things. That's why I was confused.
Oh. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you need a mic check, we're live.
It is time for My 2 Cents, and I had a teacher in high school. She had this poster up on our classroom wall that said, "Because nice matters." I was thinking about it the other day, and it's a good reminder. Now, to me, it means everything you do in life, it doesn't warrant reciprocity. It doesn't have to be mutual. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Sometimes you do what you do because it's just the right thing to do. You do it because it matters. I think niceness is often thrown by the wayside, especially in today's society where we can easily fall into an every man for himself mentality. Instead of asking, what can I do for someone, it's what can they do for me? You know, being nice, it doesn't take any more energy. It doesn't mean you have to give up something. You don't lose anything. So why isn't it always our first instinct? I think especially in stressful moments, perhaps like the one we're in right now, we think we don't have the time or the energy to be nice, especially if we aren't getting anything out of it, right? If the store is out of toilet paper, why do I need to be nice to the person who tells me they aren't getting another shipment this week? If someone is rude to me on Facebook, why is it my responsibility to be nice to them? When I personally start to slip into that mindset, I'm reminded of that poster on Miss Rodolfi's wall. When I think, why should I be nice? I remember, because nice matters. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.